Okay, and now that I've shown you some K-pop, do you think you would ever listen to K-pop again?
I used to think it was kind of like funny, but now like, I mean, still.
K-pop is literally a black hole. Okay, so in this video, I will basically be providing you with your very own K-pop starter pack, which will provide you with literally everything you need to know about K-pop, whether you're just starting to listen to the genre or you're just genuinely interested about the concept. And I will try to make this video as short as possible because I do have a lot to say, but I don't want this video to be like half an hour long, if you know what I mean. So I will put timestamps in the description in case there's something specific you are looking for. So I'm going to start off with a brief timeline. So in the early 1900s, K-pop was actually heavily inspired by traditional or Japanese enka music. As for image, Marilyn Monroe influenced the image of K-pop stars with her glamorous looks, and many girl groups styled themselves similar to Western artists like the Ronettes or the Andrew Sisters, and not until the 1990s did K-pop finally morph into the actual pop genre. Boy and girl groups became much more popular in the Korean culture, with the boy group I'm gonna say this so wrong.
서태지,
who set the many rules and trends of most other K-pop groups. And other groups such as HOT, TVXQ, and Beast took inspiration from these earlier bands and incorporated the same unique hairstyles and fashion trends. So in the early 2000s, K-pop became a part of pop culture and a huge form of fan service. Groups like Big Bang, known for their creative music style and music videos, who are today one of the most legendary K-pop groups to exist, first formed in 2006. Also, SM, the largest K-pop company of today, grouped together their first boy groups, TVXQ and Super Junior, as well as Girls' Generation and solo artist BoA. And now moving on to the 2010s, I think this was the biggest decade for K-pop so far. More modern-oriented groups debuted, such as GOT7, EXO, Miss A, Sistar, and of course, BTS. And 2012 is when K-pop became really known when Psy's Gangnam Style came out, which I'm sure literally everyone has heard. In 2016, KARD debuted, which is one of the first co-ed groups, which means there are boys and girls in one group, which wasn't really a common concept before that. So the rest of the timeline is mainly BTS focused because they were the biggest and basically are the biggest K-pop group right now. And 2016 was the main start of BTS's extreme journey into worldwide fame, which was a huge achievement considering they came from a very small record label. 2017 is when BTS became noticed by American Music Award shows such as Billboard, winning Best Social Artist. BTS also performed on several American shows, including the New Year's Eve show and the American Music Awards show. And they attended several talk shows such as Ellen, Jimmy Kimmel, and James Corden. So now into 2018, because this is BTS's biggest year so far. They received Best Social Artist from Billboard again and performed at the actual award ceremony. BTS sold out all of their tickets to their Love Yourself World Tour. They performed at Citi Field, selling out 40,000 tickets in literally less than 10 minutes. BTS spoke at the UN meeting. BTS was interviewed on Good Morning America, Jimmy Fallon, and Ellen once again. Recently, BTS was nominated for a Grammy Award. And along with the emergence of BTS's worldwide fame, one of NCT's units, NCT 127, is starting to develop global fame after the release of their Regular Irregular album, which features a main title track all in English. And because of this, NCT attended the American Music Award red carpet, and they officially opened up the bridge between K-pop and American music. Okay, I totally forgot to mention, but in January of 2018, Holland debuted, and he is one of the first openly gay idols in the K-pop industry, which was huge because no other K-pop idols were open about this or even like open about it in their music videos. So regarding the future, I think that K-pop will be huge, and I think K-pop will finally come full circle with itself, considering Western music first influenced K-pop, and now K-pop is influencing Western music. And now I'm going to move into a couple of terms, which some I created myself and then others are just well-known terms of the K-pop community. So the first one is manufactured groups, because this is one of the most controversial things of K-pop. So unlike most other bands and musical groups who will come together on their own, almost all, if not most, K-pop groups are manufactured or put together by the company, which leads people to assume K-pop is inauthentic or fake. The next term is the K-pop formula. In K-pop, there is a common hierarchy or formula that is followed. There is always a lead singer, lead dancer, lead rapper, lead visual, and general leader of the group. Additionally, the personalities of K-pop members usually follow patterns and include the humorous member, the flirty member, the shy member, the standoffish or aggressive member. So even though most fans will not admit that K-pop is a manufacturing business, it is evident, especially after comparing most bands side to side, that there is some sort of common theme between most groups. Something you may remember me mentioning in the timeline was the record label SM Entertainment. This is one of the big three record labels, the other two being JYP and YG. They are called the big three due to the fact that they have produced most, if not all, of the K-pop industry's biggest idols. And it is very common that if you are debuted under one of the big three, fame will be very easy, if not instantaneous, since your record label already has an upbringing of debuting very successful and talented artists. So the next term is Koreaboo, and this is someone who is overly obsessed with Korean, usually K-pop culture, and denounces their own culture, claiming to be Korean instead or wishing to be Korean in their next life. Most Koreaboos will incorporate Korean mannerisms into their lives, including physical changes or speaking habits. And although Koreaboos do exist, it is not some weird hoax. The majority of K-pop fans who are actively involved in the Korean culture do not mean to be offensive against the Korean culture, but are just genuinely interested in broadening their understanding of the Korean lifestyle, which most of the time peaked from their discovery of K-pop, since it is very mainstream. So next I wanted to talk about the difference between Korean and international fans. Korean fans dedicate all of their streaming, purchasing, and concert attending to one group only, usually. On the other hand, international fans are known for being supportive of many K-pop artists, otherwise known as being multi-fandom. That's what's fun about K-pop, is that there's always a new group to discover and listen to. So next is the black hole of K-pop, and as most rumors suggest, K-pop is literally a black hole. Once you've committed to listening to the genre, there is no escape. Some might even claim K-pop to be so intense that it is a lifestyle. A lot of fans dedicate their lives towards streaming music videos, buying albums, attending concerts, voting for their favorite groups on award shows, and just constantly showing their support for the K-pop community. In my personal experience, as I said before, I started listening to K-pop in 2015 and later fell into several discoveries of more smaller and underrated groups. So yes, the black hole of K-pop definitely exists, and once you're in, I don't really know how to help you get out of there, sorry. So K-pop groups are known to have the most intense fandoms, especially BTS, considering they literally call themselves ARMY. As I mentioned before, K-pop fans take K-pop as a lifestyle and commit everything towards supporting their favorite groups. This explains why BTS has won Best Social Artist 2 times already. So with the discovery of smaller groups and the more detailed lengths of K-pop came the discovery of KCON. So I discovered KCON in 2016, but I did not attend because I was still going through that weird phase where I didn't want to be weird. But in 2017, I attended KCON New York, which first surfaced in 2015 as a smaller event, with only 4 performing artists in the span of a 1-day convention. Although by 2017, the convention and concerts were 2 days, with up to 10 performing artists. So the KCON convention features a lot of different activities. Nevertheless, KCON was already getting to be a pretty big concept. So now I'm going to talk about the different components of K-pop. The first one being music videos. Just as a reference, most K-pop music videos will cost $700,000 to millions of dollars. With the flashy editing and theme of colors, music videos are used to really express the whole concept of a K-pop group's album. For example, most girl groups who are stereotypically going for the more girly concepts would incorporate colors such as pinks, pastels, or any bright colors. Moreover, boy or girl groups that are attempting to exhibit a more mature concept would use colors like whites, blacks, and more cool tones. And groups trying to exhibit a bad boy or girl concept will use more dark reds, blues, purples, and low lighting and props. So speaking of props, props are very prominent in K-pop music videos for aesthetic or symbolism purposes. For example, in Blackpink's music video Doo 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 Doo, oh, that sounds so stupid when I say that out loud. There's a scene where one of the members, Jisoo, is walking in between a crowd of people taking pictures of a mural behind her, but the moment she falls, the phones are pointing at her like guns. This, I think, symbolizes how much social media can bring up a person or tear them down. Contrastly, in Pentagon's music video Shine, the only real purpose of the many props are for aesthetic effect, to add to their quirky concept, and do not really serve any other purpose as far as I know. While most girl groups tended to follow the stereotypical girly concept, newer groups such as G-Idol and Blackpink helped to push girl groups into a more mature and empowering concepts. Additionally, some groups such as NCT Dream grew out of their childish concepts as they got older. NCT Dream debuted in 2016, being only 13 to 17 years old. Therefore, their concepts would represent their age range. Although by 2018, they were entering a much different age range and therefore transitioned into a much more mature concept. Similar to music videos, fashion is another staple of K-pop artists and their concepts. In BTS's Idol music video, they really emphasized traditional Korean apparel, as well as over-exaggerating extravagant fashion in the K-pop industry. Along with the fashion of K-pop, makeup in the K-pop world has become another iconic part of the whole package. Male idols were of the few celebrities to first popularize the use of makeup for men. At first, K-pop idols really only wore a simple layer of foundation and eyeliner. And the last element of the visual of a K-pop star is their haircuts and colors. From bright pinks to deep greens, I'm sure that there is not one color that a K-pop idol hasn't fashioned. Along with the experiment of colors, the variation of hairstyles is also prominent. In early K-pop, mullets and uniquely shaved cuts were extremely popularized. As time went on though, this trend died out and more Western hairstyles were in, including side and middle parts or slicked back hair. And in our modern era, most male idols are staying with the classic short cut and bangs, although the mullet is making a huge comeback. As for female idols, hair was mostly kept to the classic long or short hair and bangs in the beginning, but up until now, female idols have experimented with pixie cuts, shaved, or curly styles. So one of the biggest reasons that I actively listen to K-pop is because of the intense and creative choreographies. This is also one of the bigger aspects that differentiate K-pop groups to American or European bands. K-pop groups' style of dancing can vary from interpretive and stylistic to complicated and rapid. For instance, 17's song Monse, as for most of their other songs, is a very energetic and cheery song, and the choreography heavily reflects that emotion. On the other hand, Stray Kids' song Voices is quite emotional with a deep and reflective meaning behind it. So of course the choreography must correlate with the same emotions. Most K-pop idols must begin training at an age as low as 10 years old. Most idols will debut around the age of 15 and up, depending on what group you are placed in and in what record label you are under. Fun fact, when watching K-pop dance practices, you might notice some tape lines along the floor of the room. This tape is used as guidelines for the idols so that they are in the exact spot they need to be in for every count of the song, and so that their spacings and positions are perfect, because if you've ever watched a dance practice or a performance, like almost all the time they're literally perfectly timed together and perfectly spaced out. So now I'm going to be answering some questions that I gathered from my friends and people that I know, and also just common questions that most people who don't listen to K-pop want to know about. The first question is, do you have to be Korean to be in a K-pop group? So while most K-pop groups are traditionally Korean, it is also very common for a K-pop group to be a mix of other ethnicities. This includes Japanese, Chinese, Thai. Moreover, it is sort of like an unspoken rule that if you're not Korean, that you have to be at least some sort of Asian to be in a K-pop group, meaning idols that originated from America, Australia, or Canada, for example, have to be half Asian. Although in 2015, a group emerged that consisted of not only non-Korean members, but non-Asian members, well, besides one. This group is named EXP and consists of 4 members, 2 of which are American, 1 half German, half Japanese, and 1 Croatian. They debuted with their song Love Wrong in 2015, and even though they only received around 200,000 views up until now, most of the attention was hate. But needless to say, I think that it is very inspiring to other artists that they are able to continue performing and releasing music despite the great amount of hate that they receive. What are some examples of fan services that idols provide? Something that most artists in general offer are albums and merch, although K-pop bands have albums very specific to K-pop. In the album, you receive a CD with music from their album on it, a photo book displaying their concept, a randomly chosen photo card of one of the members, a poster, and sometimes other little gifts such as stickers or personalized notes. As well as albums, something very specific to K-pop is light sticks. Light sticks are brought to concerts and used as a way for fans to support idols while they perform. And along with light sticks, since Korean fans do not traditionally scream at concerts like, Westerners might, they instead have fan chants, which is basically them yelling out the hit points in the song, such as parts of the chorus or the pre-chorus. The next fan service is meet and greets. In meet and greets, a fan has the opportunity to get their albums and merch signed, and depending on the record label, you may have the chance to have a personal interaction with the idol, such as an actual conversation, picture, or a hug. How are K-pop idols put into groups, and what is the process? So first, obviously you must audition, which there are tons of videos on YouTube of people explaining the whole process. But in this audition process, they judge you on your vocal skills, dancing skills, and modeling skills, or your general appearance. Then after the company receives a certain amount of chosen delegates, they begin vigorously training them, which can take up to, as I said before, 10 years to complete. I'm not sure of the whole process that companies do to actually decide on which trainees they debut into which groups, but I'm sure it has to do with the K-pop formula, as I mentioned before, and is based on auditions or amount of years trained. And then there's also the route of survival shows, where groups debut based on vocal and dancing tests and overall performance-based competitions. How long do K-pop groups last? So most K-pop groups are under a 5 to 7 year contract, meaning that before or after their initial contract expires, they have the option to extend that contract or terminate it after the required time. Although if the band or a member gets into some sort of scandal, or if the band is not successful, it is completely legal for the record label to kick that member out or disband the group. Are you a Koreaboo? No.